Jimmy, huge congratulations with Bel-Air. I've been able to see 3 episodes of it, and I have to say the writing really is outstanding. I would imagine when you read the script that was the huge attraction.
Yes, no, definitely. For me, the only way you can do Fresh Prince of Bel-Air again is as a drama. You know what I mean? If it was a comedy, I really don't think I would have done it. I don't think I would have touched it because the original still holds up. But what we're able to do with our dramatic retelling of the original story is just delve deeper into all those issues and themes that in a way that you couldn't in a 25-minute sitcom. You know, they did have their moments. They highlighted their little moments, but now we're really able to sort of expand the world. And if you've already were a fan of the show and you've got that nostalgia feeling, then you're like, it's like you're reconnecting with your favorite characters again. And it's just nice to see what does a street smart, book smart kid from Philadelphia, what does that version look like in 2022 through a modern lens? And I think that's, for me, I'm like, yep, I want to be a part of that type of show.
Absolutely. I mean, and it really does feel like it's had a 21st century makeover. It's highly stylized. There is real, true drama, tension, and characters that are really rich and three-dimensional. I mean, everybody is, aren't they?
Yeah, no, definitely. Everybody is. And some characters have been turned on their head, you know, in terms of, if you look at, I suppose, Uncle Phil, Geoffrey, and Carlton, like we've really, these characters and our characters in some way, I think, help retell the show in a different way, you know, because we're all quite very different. So like for me, Geoffrey, what really excited me is that he wasn't a butler, you know, and he's from East London. He's sort of, he's a street smart kid originally as well, but he's worked his way up. He's been able to sort of be a shapeshifter through classes and through different sort of areas and people. And so he's got this whole edge and swagger to him and a backstory that I can't wait for the audience to sort of see.
I was going to say, because watching your performance, I mean, you really are, and I'm not just saying that because I actually know you, but you're magnetic on screen. And as soon as you see Geoffrey, there's this, like you say, a backstory. There's a real sense of history about him that you want to know more about. He's quite enigmatic, but he's a no-nonsense character as well, isn't he?
Yeah, no, thank you so much. I embrace that, received that, because we really did talk about that. Morgan Cooper, he created the whole vision for the show. He's the guy that did the 4-minute trailer in 2019 that went viral. And even just want to touch on that. We are here because of him. You know, we're not even here because we are here because of Will as well, because Will saw how talented he was and believed in him. But we're here because Morgan Cooper spent 20-30 grand of his own money to make a piece of art and just put it out there because he believed in it and not expecting anything to happen. And then look, we've got 2 seasons of a retelling of of the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. So, but for me, when I spoke to Morgan, we had a conversation about authenticity, you know? So, and I was like, well, look, it's really interesting, like, because Joseph Marcel is a friend of mine, and, you know, and so the butler, that was authentic, but it was authentic in a different way in those times in the 90s. And, you know, and so not only the way that he spoke, but his position in the house. So Morgan said he didn't want to have him as a butler. And he was like, he wants him to be like a best friend to Uncle Phil. Do you know what I mean? And like they go way back. They have history, actually, that they met in the UK. I'll say that much without giving too much away. So that's how far they go back. And so that creates them almost as equals. And so then I talked to Morgan about, well, for me, on American shows, it's really, I still think we have a lack of authenticity in terms of a Black British voice and a look, you know? And because I've lived in America now for like 4 or 5 years, and I've met people that have been out here longer than me, they do hold on to that sense of who they are. Some lose their accent and they change, but there are a lot that are proud about where they came from. So we wanted Geoffrey to have his East London roots. Do you know what I mean? He's also a bit younger than the original Geoffrey, so he's closer to Will. That street smarts, he can connect with him on a certain level, but at the same time, you know, he's no nonsense, and he's got swagger, and he's suave, and he's intelligent, and he's similar to the original. Geoffrey knows everything in terms of what's going on in that house, and so it's really nice just to see him be Phil's advisor, his consigliere, and the eyes and ears, and again, I'm just excited for people to enjoy the show and enjoy the journey of all the characters.
Absolutely, and of course, one of there's so many themes that that are kind of in the subtext of the whole show, but one of them for me is about kind of finding your place and feeling where you're at home. And you've mentioned that you sort of transitioned and you live in LA. So I just wondered whether you were able to bring some of your own experiences of moving and being, because LA is very different to London, and using that experience and draw upon your experience of finding yourself in LA and kind of being able to kind of channel that into your character.
Yes, no, thank you. Definitely. Straight away, I think the fish out of water element to it, I connected with that straight away, personally as Jimmy, in terms of, being from East London and then living in West Hollywood, it's just like, okay, what does this look like? And so, and then actually what was great, I was already, in terms of Geoffrey's backstory, I was able to connect that as well. So you've got Geoffrey's story, my story, sort of rolled into one in terms of what does that feel like? What does that feel like? And what does that feel like to be away from family and friends? And it is tricky. I love it out here, but it does require a certain, I don't know if it's the right word, toughness, but a resilience. A resilience of the mind and the heart. And so that was really an exciting place for myself and Morgan and Rashid, the showrunner, and TJ, to sort of play with that and have those nuanced elements and vibes throughout the show and within Geoffrey, And so actually what's also nice, Geoffrey immediately understands where Will is more than anyone else in the house. So there's a different relationship between them.
Yeah, that's very, very true. And, we all know you as a screen actor, but, your roots are very grounded in theatre as well. And I just wondered how, they often say, theatre actors become great screen actors. And I just wondered what you've been able to bring with you from the theatre that you can bring into your craft as an actor in film and TV.
That's a really good question. You know what? I think with the theatre, I've been able to bring a level of rootedness. I think starting out in theatre and being at the National and the West End and playing roles like Othello or Look Back in Anger, Jimmy Porter, like huge, iconic roles, and Blue Orange as well, Christopher Joe Pennell's Blue Orange, that when you're on set and you're on a show like this that is big, but in terms of like depth, you can't test what we do on stage in the UK. It doesn't match up. So there's a sense of knowingness and a strength and a groundedness in terms of how I feel I like to create my characters for screen. And then also backstory as well. Because in a play, you know where you're going. And then in TV, a lot of the times they might give you the first 1 or 2 episodes and then they're writing for you. But for me, what's important is I need to know my backstory. Who is Geoffrey? What's he been through up until this point? And then in theatre, you're able to do a lot of that work in the rehearsal room and playing. And on TV and film, it's getting less and less that time. So it's almost doing that time on your own. So when you come onto set, you're there, you're ready to go.
And you are one of the busiest working actors at the minute, but you still have time for others, and that's one of the things I've always liked about you, Jimmy. And we talk about, I've worked with you with Triforce, and you're the founder of that, and you're very rooted in supporting other artists and creativity and giving them a platform. And I wondered whether you wanted to talk to us a little bit about Triforce and the work that you do with them.
Yes, thank you so much. Yeah, me and Fraser Ayres, my business partner and best friend, we set it up in 2003 because we remembered the feeling we had in Edinburgh Festival, which was very inclusive and diverse, and togetherness of artists supporting artists. And we felt like that doesn't really happen when you get to London, It's all a bit sort of, a bit cold-shouldered. And so we set up our company, Triforce Creative Network, to provide platforms and events for artists to come together, actors, writers, producers, directors, whether it's an actor showcase. But then we were like, we need to make it free because all these other showcases are charging people. And so if we make it completely accessible, then it's open for everybody. There's a lot of people that would see posters of me and Fraser on it and go, oh, is it just a black thing? And we're like, no. But he said a lot about where we were in the world at those times, and we're still where we are now. We're like, no, this is just us. We're just promoting it to ask people to come and be a part of what we're doing. And so it's been great over the 15 plus years to see the growth of the Triforce Film Festival, the Writers Slam, the Actors Monologue Slam, and people have gone through our initiatives and they've got their careers. I'm not saying that we've completely made them, but we've been a significant part of their journeys. Whether you want to talk about someone like Chiziak Odulu or Oliver Stark, that's on 911 out here, there's so many, Zach Momo, there's so many actors we can name that have been through our initiatives. But what's been exciting is that the next chapter for our company was to set up the production company. So we're making content now. So the entertainment comedy panel show, Sorry I Didn't Know, which is a show about history, but, Black history, which is for everyone. And for us to maintain our ethos in that space, and go, look, we've been doing this for years anyway, but now we're able to do it on national TV. We're so excited and proud about that. And we're waiting to see if we get season 3. But then the other element, Fraser and Minnie, while I was in the US, they created Dandy, which is diversity. It's short for diversity and inclusion. It's basically a recruitment initiative that recruits jobs for people in the industry. For people that are being marginalized because of their sex or the color of their skin or their ethnicity, and so we've taken all the work we've done in front of camera and said, look, it's even more important to have a diverse crew, producers, commissioners, writers, and that has grown significantly over the last 4 or 5 years, and we're again leading company in that space.
Fantastic. And finally, before I have to let you go, you've a 20-year career, am I right in saying? You don't look old enough, but 20 years you've been going. And I just wondered, is there any advice you would have given yourself when you were setting out in your career that maybe other actors and emerging actors you could advise? What would you advise yourself?
Yeah. First of all, 20 years. I started when I was 5, people. So, I'm really joking. My advice, you know what? It's the advice that I think subconsciously I gave to myself it's about work ethic, perseverance, and persistence. It really is. And keeping the love for it. Because it will get tough, it will be really hard. But if you tick all those boxes, what I just mentioned, and just keep believing that your journey is going to be different, then I truly believe you will have a career. And there's all sorts of different parts of the career. For me, after 3 years, when I was doing like 2-3 plays a year across the UK, for me, that was a career. That was a career. That is success, and then you can get onto the other things, film and TV. But I think if you're doing what you love and at a really good high level and being paid for it, and for me, you're winning. And so I just ask people just to do the work. Don't focus on the fame and the money. That's when that's when you can get into trouble. Just make sure you continue to love it and that you don't want to do anything else. And also, I encourage them to make their own work, whether it is do your short films, do your plays, set up your own company, because that I realize is a really good way to balance the insecurity of this business, or the side of it where you're always, Claire, what it's like. You've been acting yourself, you've been in this business where you're waiting to be given the opportunity. But with technology, how it's improved and how it's cheaper and more accessible, there's no reason why now that you can't create your own work. So that's what I would say to anybody getting into business.
Jimmy, you're amazing. Thank you very much, and best of luck with Bel-Air.
Thank you so
Fantastic.
much.
Thank you.
Cheers, Claire.